from that chime being played in Pittsburgh. 10 days to the draft, so we put together 10 questions you need answered, and we run through them for you this morning on Get Up. Hey, Damien Woody, the Cowboys have 12 and 20 in the first round, 2 first-round picks. Should they go defense on both of those selections?
Yes, they absolutely should. They still, even with all the moves that they made last year, they need multiple players on the defensive side if they want this defense to be anywhere close to being a team that could help them get back to the postseason.
Because I'm hearing the possibility, well, I shouldn't say I'm hearing this as a possibility. I'm hearing a lot of fans saying maybe they try and package that or do something and move up and get one of the, there were some real star players in this draft, like a Sonny Styles, you mentioned him before, an off-the-ball linebacker that the Cowboys could really use. Do you have any sense about the Cowboys' possibility of moving around in this class?
No, look, the Cowboys are patient and strategic with the way they draft. So I would say if they're absolutely in love with Sonny Styles and feel like it's worth trading 2 first-round picks to go up and get him, I wouldn't put it past him. But I also would find that to be unusual behavior because I don't think they probably view themselves as Sonny Styles away from where they want to be.
Right.
And therefore, 12 and 20, you're likely to get 2 very good players on the defensive side of the ball that can help you a lot, not just this year, but in years to come. So I guess my answer would be if the guy they're in love with gets a little closer to 12, then maybe you're able to make a move with a later round pick. But to trade 2 firsts, that would have to be the difference maker that takes you from good to championship great.
I will remind everyone the Cowboys traded back in the first round the year they took Micah Parsons. Correct. That was actually a move back.
With the Eagles.
Yeah, with the Eagles of all things.
Yeah.
Could the Cowboys, is there a player sitting there you think the Cowboys should be considering making an aggressive move for Dominique?
Yeah, I think there are a few impactful defensive players. If any of them slide, I think the Cowboys should consider moving up. I feel like I am like Ruben Bain's agent today because he's the one who I think has a chance of potentially sliding a little bit. And if the Cowboys could package those picks to move up and get him, I think he's an impactful enough player that it'd be worth considering. If not, they can hang around and maybe the corners will be around by the time they get to 12. Both of those corners that are really good. And there's some really talented D linemen like Caleb Banks, who's injured, who's going to fall way, way down in the first round. I think maybe the second round that could help that team out a lot.
The corners are Mansour Delane and Jermod McCoy. McCoy has injury questions. And then there's also the safety, Caleb Downs, who a lot of people just love. But safety is a complicated position. I can think of another impactful defensive player the Cowboys could consider trying to trade for, and he's on our screen right now. Dan, is there any reason to believe the Cleveland Browns will entertain trading Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett?
There is not. I think there's a lot of people out there that wonder why not, considering what you could probably get for him. But the Browns have been steadfast and adamant that they have no interest in trading Myles Garrett. Even last year when he was publicly asking for a trade, they said that, gave him a new contract. I think it's more likely that Myles Garrett gets another contract bump from the Browns this offseason than gets traded.
What do you think of this, D-Wood?
He should have been traded last year. He should have been traded last year. And if you're the Browns, listen, Myles Garrett had a historic season last year. Where did he get the Browns? Nowhere, absolutely nowhere. Because until they solve the problem at quarterback, this organization is going nowhere. You need assets to continue to build out this team. They have a lot of holes, and he's their most tradable commodity on their roster.
What do you think, Dominique? You tend to sometimes have a contrarian position. Almost everyone I talk to thinks the Browns should try and turn Myles Garrett into a treasure trove of draft picks. What do you think?
Yeah, I hate to let you down, Greeny, but I don't have a contrarian position on this one. I think the Browns are probably not a serious contender, and we've been robbed of having one of the greatest defensive players of all time have any realistic, serious playoff run. I'd love to see Myles Garrett on a contender. The challenge with that is, though, contenders tend not to have a lot of high first-round picks to trade, so it's hard to find a team that's both close and has enough compensation to be worth getting Myles Garrett in the cap space to fit in his contract.
It's interesting because I was thinking that as we were having the beginning part of this conversation. If Myles Garrett had won a Super Bowl, had been a Super Bowl MVP, would we be talking about him? Who are the greatest pass rushers of all time? Lawrence Taylor, Reggie White, whatever the list is. We all know who they are. Like, he belongs in that conversation. He's that level of good. Sure. but we've never seen him on a half-decent team. He has 99.5 career sacks on teams with losing records. Thank you, Hembo, the most in NFL history. That's why we need Hembo so badly. I would love to see it both for his side of it and for the Browns side of it. Hey, quickly, Neek, let me get one more question in. Kansas City picks at 9. Do you think if you're them, you go offense or defense with that selection?
I mean, I guess you have to be open to whatever is there, but I really think they need defense. Like this is where they lost a bunch of their talent, and I think they've decided offensively to go more into a traditional rushing attack. So weapons there that haven't worked out are still there that they can work on making it happen. They don't have a bad receiving core, and they're bringing back Travis Kelce. I'd love for them to address the defense first.
I'll believe Andy Reid's going to a traditional rushing attack when I see it, and not before. I think they draft offensive playmaker there. They have pick 29, pick 40. There's defensive players in those spots that can help them.
I think they need defense. As much as we talk about Patrick Mahomes and his brilliance, it's really been the defense that's really been the catalyst for them winning these championships. They've got a lot of pieces that's graduated from the program. They need to start replenishing that side of the ball.
I'll say this at 9. Write down the name Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end
that's what I'm talking
out of
about.
Oregon.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have had one of the great tight ends of all time for all these years in Travis Kelce. As his career comes to an end, maybe they replace him with a kid who is an athletic freak. Dominic, steel cage match.
Oh, boy.
Is Hembo versus Graziano. Which NFL team has the longest active streak without drafting a player inside the top 10?
I really like the question. We were going back, Brandon and I were going back and forth between the Steelers and the Packers. These are two teams that are never bad enough to be in the top 10. I cannot remember the last time either one of them did it. I'm flipping a coin. I'm going to say the Packers.
Packers' last top 10 pick was B.J. Raji in 2009, and that is the correct answer. It is Green Bay. You are unbelievable. When I read that question, I thought, how would anyone get that right? But I'd forgotten Graz is not just anyone. 16-4. Woo!
It's getting bad. Like people need to stop tuning in.
Hembo, I mean, this is getting rough. That's really, really well done. Okay, we are 10 days from the draft. We have the 10 questions about the draft that we're getting ready for. And Graziano, I'm going to ask this one to you as well. Ty Simpson and where he's going to wind up getting drafted, the quarterback out of Alabama, I think is the biggest mystery here. All the people you talk to, and you're talking to everyone, do you get a sense he will be a first-round pick?
I don't, because I just don't know what team is going to do it. I don't expect the Jets to do it at number 16. And after that, it doesn't seem like it's something the Steelers would do. The Rams might have if they still had 2 first-round picks, but they don't. I don't see the team for him. Could somebody come up from the top of the first round or from the top of the second round and the back end of the first to make it happen? Sure. But as of right now, looking at the first round, I don't see his spot.
Do you believe, D. Wood, his talent, his resume, whatever you want to say, his package is worthy of going in the first round? Should he be a first-round pick, absent who might take him?
I think it's only what teams are willing to go out there and stick their neck out for him. I think that's what determines if he's a first-round pick. I think with these quarterbacks, you got to be careful of guys who are skimpy as far as how many games played.
Yes.
I think quarterback position is one of those positions where experience matters. And I know Bill Parcells at one point in time had this whole deal of you had to reach a certain threshold
the
of
10 commandments of quarterbacks.
I think that absolutely plays in that position. And I think with Todd Simpson and his lack of that playing time, it's going to play against him in the draft.
Here's what works against him. He's only started 15 games, and he is not that big.
Right.
He's 6'1". If he was 6'3" and 230, I think it would make a big difference.
That's the thing. There's not a prototype level physical trait.
Correct.
You can hang your hat on. He hasn't had that big leap in college that we saw with Mendoza or Jaden Daniels or going back to Joe Burrow. Is that going to happen for him in the NFL? That's a tough one.
He was only a one-year starter. Dominique, how do you see it? There are some advantages for those who don't follow this closely to taking a quarterback in the first round. You get an extra year of control over the player. You get 5 years versus 4 if they're drafted anytime outside of round 1. So maybe there's some advantage to a team there. What do you think is going to happen, Neek?
Yeah, I think he probably slides to the second round because normally for a first round quarterback, you're going to have to hang your hat on something, like describe your reason for why you selected him. It's either going to be his production or command of the offense while in college, or you're projecting based on some physical traits. And it's hard to make an argument for either of those for Ty Simpson right now, given that he's only started 15 games and he's 6'1". So I think he has a shot to win a starting job, but it's going to be from the second round would be my guess.
Well, he ties into our next question, which, Dominique, is for you. The Pittsburgh Steelers are drafting 21st this year. I think they've drafted 21st every year for as long as I can remember, right? The Steelers are always drafting 21st. Should they take him? Their plan seems to be to bring back Aaron Rodgers. Their plan always seems to be try and win as many games as they can. Do you think the Steelers need to draft a quarterback in this year's draft?
Yeah, I think until they find a quarterback, they need to continue to acquire quarterbacks. I'm not sure that it should be in the first round because it's pretty clear by bringing back Aaron Rodgers and still how old that defense is, they're looking to make a run. So in the first round, I'm looking for someone who can contribute right away. But if he's still there in the second, or I doubt he'll still be around in the third round, I think it's worth the Steelers giving a shot and keep taking shots until they land one.
What do we think of that idea? Which team is it that always does that? Is it Howie Roseman, Green Bay?
Yeah, Green
Bay
Bay
always take a guy.
Believed in that.
But you just keep drafting quarterbacks, and you just never know what winds up happening.
It's a good idea. Again, like they draft Will Howard in the 6th round last year. They didn't really get much time with him because he had injuries. So are you going to bring in a guy that you like better than him? Dominique's right. Like there's nothing wrong with in the middle rounds taking a guy you think can maybe develop into a star quarterback or at least a starting quarterback and have him duke it out with the prospect you drafted last year.
Those names would be Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, Carson
some
Beck.
Interesting names.
Those are some of the guys whose names you will hear maybe late round 3 into the 3rd day. So we'll see if they go that way. Should the Steelers, should they even be bringing Rodgers back for another year?
No. I don't know. No, like I still think like the Steelers, like you brought it. One of the reasons you brought in Mike McCarthy, right? It's like he's been pretty good developing quarterbacks. Like that's one of the reasons. So if you're going to bring him in, I know the Steelers have always said we want to win. We want to continually try to win every year. But also in the same mindset, it's like your head coach is pretty good at developing quarterbacks. So why not just stay on the young route and try to accumulate quarterbacks and try to develop one of those guys?
There isn't any reason to believe they're not bringing Rodgers back, right? It's a double negative. I should have asked it better than that.
Yeah.
He's coming back. They're bringing him back,
Like,
right?
I don't think Cousins goes to the Raiders unless he knows something's done with the Steelers and Rodgers. Yeah, I think that's the way this has been pointing all along.
Nick, give me a final word.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are telling the Steelers that they should just like pack it up and try to lose to get a top-rate quarterback. I appreciate that the Steelers are still competitive. And if you look at the history of the league, a lot of quarterbacks are drafted in the mid to end of the first round that turn out to be pretty successful. So I just don't want to get in a situation where people are advocating for the Steelers to not try to win, because that's not football and that's not something we want to see in the NFL.
I'm glad you said that, and I agree with it, and we'll see. I mean, the last time they got themselves a great quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger was the 3rd quarterback taken in the first round that year. He came in the middle of the first round. Maybe Ty Simpson is that guy. Maybe they take him at 21. I don't think anyone expects